Hi all. In the previous lectures, we have studied about the different layers in LTE, which are PDCP sublayer, RLC and MAC sublayers, and the next one in this list is RRC layer. RRC is Radio Resource Control Protocol. It is used in LTE on the air interface. It is a layer that exists between user equipment and eNode B. eNode B means your base station and user equipment, and it exists at the internet protocol level. Okay, so the main responsibilities of RRC are RRC connection management, radio bearer control, mobility functions, user equipment measurement reporting and control, broadcasting system information, and paging. We'll know what are these functionalities or responsibilities one by one in next few slides. Before that, let us understand what are RRC states. So as I have indicated, RRC is radio resource control states. Here, you can imagine radio resource control is nothing but controlling the radio resource or the link between user equipment and base station or eNode B in LTE 4G. Here, uh, when you switch on your mobile phone, that state, when you are not going to receive any message, you are not going to browse, or you are not going to talk to anyone, just you are turned on your mobile with SIM card, that state you can consider RRC is in the idle state. What you will get in the idle state, your mobile equipment will be continuously transmitting its location in the particular area and its authentication information to the eNode B, and eNode B will be communicating using some essential information, just like signaling strength. What is the signaling strength? uh, is there any connection between uh, the tower and your equipment? That will be indicated by the uh, signaling points, right? 2 points, or the antenna, you commonly refer it as signaling. This one is antenna points. So more antenna points are there means high signal strength is there, otherwise low signal strength you will say. So that condition is idle condition, you have not contacted, but there are message or the signaling between eNode B and your user equipment is happening in that state, and the state is RRC idle state. The things which are explained here, uh, as I explained earlier, they are listed out in these points: user equipment controlled mobility, cell selection and reselection, paging is nothing but say your signaling informations, broadcast of system information, that is how much power the system is consuming in getting the signaling, that you can say broadcast of system information, or authentication, the IMEI number of your mobile phone and the exact location. These things are broadcasted into the eNode B, and eNode B will indicate some informations into the user equipment. So these are the common things happening in the idle state. When it comes to RRC connected, there is a connection establishment. It happens when you want to talk to somebody, or you want to message, or you want to use internet applications like WhatsApp or Facebook or any other browser you will open. Then what happens? This RRC is said to be connected. It is connected means now the operations which are taking place in between the user equipment and eNode B will change. Here, the functionalities are unicast data transfer, network controlled mobility or handover, paging, broadcast of system information. You can see there is one two different points are there. One is unicast data transfer, that is data transfer takes place. Earlier data was not transferring, only signaling was there in the idle state. Here data transfer is taking place. Next is network controlled mobility or handover. Handover means when you move from one place to another place, your complete information or the user information will be communicated to the nearest cell and nearest base station, so that your connectivity is maintained. So all the resources will be transferred to the nearest cell. That is the physical connection resources which have been allocated to you previously in particular region. When you are at a standstill, when you start moving, you are at one point of time you are in some area. After 10 minutes in vehicle you are traveling and you will reach some other area. So you have to get the network coverage, right? So that network coverage is possible through the mobility management, and commonly it is referred as handover process. Okay, so these things are going to happen in RRC in the connected stage. Okay, the same has been explained here. You can just go through this. The next topic is RRC functions. Before going into different functions provided by the RRC protocol, we first introduce the concept of signaling radio bearers or SRBs. The SRBs are defined as radio bearers that are used only for the transmission of RRC and NAS messages. NAS means non-access stratum messages. These are the messages which indicates trigger of some event. Just like you have called somebody and that person picks the call, it will be indicated through a vibration to you, or through the timer has started, that indicating reception of call has happened. Correct? In that way, those message indications we handle through signaling radio bearers. There are three different SRBs defined in LTE. SRB0 is for RRC messages using common control channel CCCH logical channel. Okay, and SRB1 is for RRC messages and NAS messages prior to the establishment of SRB2, and all using the DCCH or downlink control channel logical channel. Next is SRB2 is for NAS messages using DCCH logical channel. SRB2 has a lower priority than SRB1 and is always configured by the EU-TRAN after security activation. Okay, this is all about the SRBs in the LTE. And all the SRBs other than type 1 carries system information messages. Let us now look into the functions of RRC. Broadcast of, first one is broadcast of system information. It is divided into the master information block MIB and a number of system information blocks. The MIB includes a limited number of most of the essential and most frequently transmitted parameters that are needed to acquire other information from the cell, and is transmitted on the BCH logical channel. Here the MIB includes the history of events which have taken place. You might be in previously in some other area, that area's cell number and the E node B number or any other ID, where how much time you were there and how did you communicate in that particular time. Okay, all these informations will be there in you can say in the master information block. Next is SIB type 1. SIB type 1 contains parameters to determine the cell selection, information of time domain scheduling of the other SIBs, or the system information blocks. All other SIBs other than type 1 carries system information messages. Type 1 only carries the information, or it is used to determine the cell selection in particular area, and time domain scheduling of other SIBs is carried out by type 1 SIB. All others will be carrying only system information messages. This is about broadcast of system information. System here is your equipment as well as your eNode B. Next is RRC connection control. It includes RRC connection establishment, modification and release, paging and initial security activation. Paging here is again I'm indicating. Paging means the arbitrary messages which are communicated to the user equipment indicating some event. Okay, they are not uh, like mandatory, but they are essential. Establishment of SRBs, radio bearers carrying user data, radio configuration control, quality of service control, recovery from radio link failure. These are the functions in the RRC connection control. And the next one is measurement configuration and reporting. It includes measurement establishment, modification and release. Here measurement refers to how much power your user equipment is receiving through signaling. That is the signal strength in your uh, user equipment, whether it is receiving 10 decibels of power or 5 decibels of power or 3 dB power. What it is measured by your user equipment and it is communicated to the network eNode B, and corrective action, or using this feedback corrective actions will be taken. So configuration and deactivation of measurement gaps. So as I have told, uh, if there are gaps, then it can be filled through the actions. Measurement reporting for intra-frequency and inter-frequency. That is the measurement of intra-frequency connection reliability and inter-frequency connection reliability and reporting of that. Inter-RAT mobility. RAT means random access technology. In LTE-4G, we are using EU-TRAN, correct? Likewise, earlier it was GSM technology, 3G technologies were there, okay, and similarly 2G was there. So uh, what is the condition of the signaling when one person moves from some high quality network area to low quality network area? 4G is not available, only 3G is available. 3G is also not available. 2G is not available. So what is the strength of that particular signal? That measurement will be communicated. Okay. Next, the other functions include transfer of dedicated NAS information. As I have said, NAS means non-access stratum information, non-3G GPP dedicated information. So regarding earlier, as I have discussed, different networks which we are communicating through other than LTE 4G. Transfer of user equipment radio access capability information, support for self configuration and self optimization of the resources. So these are the functions carried out by RRC. Okay, I hope you understood these topics. Our next topic is mobility management. So this is the mobility management is the protocol which is the having utmost importance so as to maintain a continuity between our internet access or our calls. Okay, so let us see what is this. Mobility management deals with the management process of handling of the resources or transferring of the resources when the user equipment moves from one place to another place. There will be multiple base stations controlled by a single mobility management entity, and there will be one e-node be in particular cell or particular area, or the base station will be there at the center of a particular cell. So when you move from one cell to another cell, there should be uh, there should be a communication happen between this cell's e node B and the next cell's e node B, so as to hand over your information to maintain a proper connectivity and good signal strength. So this process will be maintained or monitored by mobility management entity. Okay, it all these things will happen through mobility management entity. So why it is required? It is required so as to manage the resources when you are moving from one place to another place. There are two types in mobility management. One is intra LTE mobility, where mobility is within LTE system. All are using 4G. In that 4G network only you are moving means it is called as mobility within LTE system. It can happen, it can happen either over S1 interface or X2 interface. This we have seen in the very first block diagram of our LTE architecture. Okay, S1 interface and X2 interface. Mobility through X2 interface occurs when user equipment moves from one e-node B to another e-node B within the same radio access network attached to the same mobility management entity. There might be in one city, if you take, there might be multiple mobility management entities. In one mobility management entity, there might be number of e-node Bs. Okay, X2 interface deals with what? When user equipment moves from one e-node B to another e-node B and it is attached to the same MME. Otherwise, S1 interface will take place. The connectivity will be handled by S1 interface because it deals with inter LTE mobility. So this is all about intra LTE. We are not going into other networks apart from 4G here. Okay, S1 and X2 both in intra LTE only. Now mobility to other systems, which is 3GPP system, non 3GPP system such as inter-RAT mobility, they are dealt with S1 interface. Here S1 and X2 both will be there in LTE, but exclusively S1 is used for other than 4G networks. So mobility through S1 interface occurs when the user equipment moves from one e-node B to another that belongs to different RAN attached to different MMEs. Here RAN is also different. In this case, the PDCP context is not continued and the user equipment needs to re-establish its session once it moves to the target non-LTE system. So there are multiple functionalities involved as compared to the 4G to 4G mobility. Here you are moving into different network. Okay, let us now see what happens in S1 mobility and what happens in X2 mobility. There are three phases in S1 mobility as well as in X2 mobility. S1 mobility phases are preparation phase, execution phase, completion phase. Let us see what is preparation phase. Once a handover decision is made and identifying target MME, target E node B, the network needs to allocate resources on the target side for handover to happen. Handover means handing over the radio resources you are the source E node B is having into the target E node B. In the target MME, here S1 means there will be different mobility management which want to control, and there will be different E node B wants to control your user equipment. Let me go through the interface diagram and explain these points in the preparation phase. So once the handover decision is made, then what happens is source E node B will request a handover, will send a handover request to source mobility management entity. When this receives handover request, it will check for the authentication and details of user equipment, and it forwards it to, this is your MME, and this is, you can say, another city's mobility management entity, and it can be called as target MME. Similarly, source E node B, in your city you are having a base station, it is E node B. In your the other city there is another base station you are moving to, that is, you can think of target E node B. So now this request of source MME is forwarded to target MME or mobility management entity. Once this is received, again it will check for all the details or the information of a particular MME as well as the system information of eNode B and user equipment, and handover is given to the target eNode B. This is the target eNode B which is maintained by this target MME. So it forwards it to handover request to the target EME. It will set up a resource. So it will allocate some frequencies, some channels for the user, and it says that I will acknowledge your request, handover request, and now the user can allocate the resources. User can use these resources. It will forward that information to the target MME. This is the preparation phase. Now target MME, what it does, it will forward the reallocation response to the source MME, indicating these are the resources given by target eNode B. You can utilize it to uh, convey your information. So source MME will hand over the command or this information to, sorry, the source MME will hand over the command or this information to source eNode B, and source eNode B will give the handover command to the user equipment. So handover command uh, is forwarded to user equipment, and thereby it completes the preparation phase, indicating resources are allocated for user equipment for uh, in the particular target MME and target eNode B. Now the next step is, once the handover command is received by the user equipment, it will send status transfer from source enode B to the target enode B, and it happens through, that is sending the status from enode B, source enode B to the source MME, and it's been communicated to the target MME, and target MME will transfer the status. And this happens through a random access channel. This user equipment started accessing the target enode B through a random access channel, and the handover confirmation message will be given to the target enode B at the same time. Okay, this completes the execution phase. So handover is completed. There is a connection established between the target enode B and UV through RACH channel. Now this handover confirmation is given to the target MME in the completion phase, and the same is communicated to the source MME for forward reallocation complete indication. That is, for a reallocation is reallocation of resources completed. That message is sent from target MME to the source MME, and source MME will ask source enode B to release the resources. That means earlier radio resources used before the handover request goes, those has to be freed so that other can use, right? So that is now uh, done in the completion phase, where all the resources used by source enode B will be asked to release, which are not being used by this particular user equipment. So this completes the S1 interface. So what we can summarize in S1 interface, the communication, the handover is between one enode B to the another enode B, where source and target MME are different. In X2 interface, source and target MME is same. So in intra MME interface is our X2 interface, which is within a particular city you can think of. Okay. So X2 mobility we will discuss in the next session. As of now, we'll finish with today's lecture. Okay, I hope you have understood the topics discussed today. If you have any queries, you can always contact me, or you can ping in the comment section.